You know what's funny? Today, out of the blue, I decided to go on this photography journey around the streets of Seoul. Remember Sang-woo, our photographer friend from high school? Yes, he was snapping away all the time, and well, that was somewhat inspiring. So, I found myself exploring the city through the lens of a camera, like I was capturing the modern and traditional architecture differences of the city. Jinnae will be thrilled when she hears about this. She's always on about how beautiful the Hanoks are. And let me tell you, the city looked different, almost like a recipe unfolding. The stark contrasts, like it was a well-seasoned, well-rounded dish. I hope that makes sense. Echoes of the boisterous laughter disappearing around old alleyways, midnight secrets whispered between towering skyscrapers. The stories those silent buildings told were simply mesmerizing, and behind the lens, I was the one turning the platter, setting the stage. Managed to capture an amazing view of a Hanok house against a skyscraper. You know me, I always appreciate a good mix of old and new. It's kind of like mixing gochujang with pasta, huh? Never knew I would fall for photography as hard as I did for cooking. So is it photos or pasta? At this point, I couldn't tell you. But what I do know is spice brings life, in photos and pastas. Personally, I think it's great to spice things up occasionally, keep 'em guessing. Also, Yuna took it to a whole new level. She compared it to the shallow coral reefs against the deep open sea. Crazy, right? But amazingly deep. Honestly, the deeper I think about it, I find it hard to disagree. Thinking about street photography, to me, it felt like another form of cooking, capturing moments and roasting them in memory like a good piece of steak. Speaking of roasting, trust me, Juhwan, my snapshots are as well balanced as my pasta. And how can we forget Yuna's fun idea about sautéing moments? She's got a quirky sense of humor, right? Isn't it amazing how our careers reflect on our analogies? We always find a way to poke Juhwan about tech drones. What's next? A photo cooking bouldering drone? Yeah, leave that to Juhwan. Remember, with pasta or photos, balance is the key. Too much or too little, and it's a disaster. The next thing you know, I'm going for a bouldering session. As Yuna would say, don't forget the underwater photographer when you go scuba diving next time. Who knows, I might just start cooking underwater. Talk about adding another variety to my skills, right? Boy, I swear it felt like a whole day of bouldering. Never knew capturing moments could be so strenuous. Anyway, I have to get back now. Need to check the temperature of the oven for the sourdough I left for rising. You know me, I cannot take a chance with it. So that's all about today's epic adventure. Next time you are in Seoul, remind me to show you those snaps. But until then, keep up your spirit and spice in life, my friend. Catch you later, buddy. Isn't it amazing how something as simple as a video game can mirror your real-life hobbies? Today, I got to explore the culinary world in the virtual universe with this game, Overcooked. How cool is that, huh? And I'm not even talking about a low-key food mixing game. No, this was wild. Imagine racing against time, the kitchen on fire, and me shouting at the screen when my pizza dough gets burnt. I know it sounds chaotic, but hey, aren't most kitchens? Just feels like home. You should have seen Juhwan's reaction when I shared about the game. He's apparently going to try it over the weekend now. Even Yuna got excited. She's up for our Overcooked squad. Kitchen army to the rescue. The interesting part is the requirement for precision and timing. It's all so familiar, right? Just like kneading the dough and waiting for the perfect rise in real life. Not just skills, the game even teaches one about teamwork under a fun gourmet umbrella. How fascinating can this get? On one side, we have real-world cooking, where one raw move can lead to a disaster. And on the other, this game, where one misstep and you lose a level. Uncanny parallel, isn't it? Got me thinking, who would have ever imagined that my love for cooking and gaming would collide like this? But then again, life tends to surprise us in the most unexpected ways. I am telling you, popping those virtual onions made me realize how much I love the actual smell of caramelizing onions in my kitchen. Crazy, right? It's kind of like how you mix flour and water to start making your sourdough. You know it's going to take days, but the anticipation of that perfectly risen dough and the tangy taste, it's worth the wait. And while you're enjoying the bread, there's always that sense of accomplishment from the patience and hard work. It felt quite similar with beating each level in the game. The victory after a stressful run, the character jumping up and down on screen, it was so infectious that I found myself grinning too. Feels quite like the feeling when you nail the perfect pizza crust. You know what I tried today? Hanbok. Yes. Insadong Market, imagine me in traditional Korean attire. The market was flooded with this amazing cultural vibe, making it the perfect place to try out something as traditional as a hanbok. You know, Gitai and Jiho were there too. It's like diving back into our cultural roots, you know, so beautifully resonant with heritage, yet so different from my everyday chef's apron. And you should have seen Juhwan's reaction. He had this funny notion, a hanbok matching the color of my apron. And Yuna, always imagining, came up with chef version of hanbok. It was more funny when she pitched it as an idea for the game Overcooked. Oh, she's got a quirky sense of humor, not going to lie, I loved it. Imagine, Overcooked Hanbok Chef Hyun. Yeah, that's what we ended up calling it. Even thinking of myself as a gaming superstar had me laughing so hard. But you know, my real-life adventures will always beat the virtual ones. Speaking of adventures, I was thinking of baking some fresh bread for Sunday. There's something about baking bread. It's calming and exciting at the same time. Just like anticipating the rise of that perfect dough, standing there in a hanbok had me thrilled and nervous. Not going to lie, that was one experience worth trying. Anyways, need to go back now. A baker's work is never done, is it?